this is one of these books that you have to, for now, I'm going to DNF this book. Good morning. We're actually starting this vlog off on a Saturday today. I made myself my little iced latte. I'm about to head out, and welcome to the vlog. I thought we would go through a little diaries of hobbies for this vlog because I wanted to make a reading vlog, but I feel I'm very much in a reading slump right now, unfortunately, and I don't know how much I will be reading, so I wanted to incorporate how many hobbies we could get around all in all. I do have a reading update. I still haven't finished this book, which is exactly why I wanted to start filming, because I feel whenever I do and I'm like filming a reading vlog or whatnot, it motivates me to read more. And I want to know what you guys do. Do y'all just like DNF books that you're just not into? Because I have such a hard time just like being like, yeah, I just don't like it and I'm not gonna keep reading it. And the effect of that is I end up in book slumps, because now I don't want to read like anything at all because I don't want to finish this book. Like, it's just not my cup of tea. And that really hurts me because I love everything Emily Henry, but this, I just can't get into it. I don't know why. I do want to finish it because I'm literally on page 432, and there's like there is 600 pages. I don't know why I thought it was 500. So I do want to finish this book. And on today's little counter of hobbies, I actually do have work. Don't be fooled, I actually do have work. And tomorrow I think I work like 8 hours. So, but I am off Monday and Tuesday. And for today's little encounter, since this is kind of be like my last day of freedom before Sunday, because I won't be able to do anything at all but work, I'm gonna head over to the farmer's market this morning and just kind of browse a little bit. I've had quite an interesting past few days, a lot of being like cooped up and tied up with work, and then I did have 2 days off, so me and my mom used our free will to go to the city yesterday, and I went to a cutie little bookshop. We had like a little coffee shop moment and thrifting day, and it was so much fun. So I have some footage in there from going to a little small business bookstore, which I love supporting small business bookstores, and I have been so like in depth of like using my library abilities that I have not bought in a book in so long. And I think I only bought like maybe 1 or 2 books total last year. And so I did not buy myself a book, but I did get books. You see, my mom bought me 2 books actually, and I was looking through the books and I was like, oh, I really like this, and I was like explaining to her like what the book was about, and she's like, I'm gonna buy it for you for Easter and put it in your Easter basket, and you can't have it till Easter. So anyways, I made myself a little snack plate moment because I've had a crazy day today and I have not eaten like quite literally anything, so I'm going to sit down, eat. I made myself a coffee as well, and I'm ready to do some reading. I feel like everything has been so pacey and I have not been able to read, and also, if I'm being honest, I have not been making time to read simply because I'm not feeling this book at all, and I want to learn to be more gracious with myself about learning to DNF books in the future, because what happens when I don't DNF books, I end up in a book slump, and I have a very low desire to read because of how bad the book was. And it doesn't mean, maybe I should rephrase that. DNFing a book doesn't mean anything like bad about the book or about the author, because I love Emily Henry. I just truly think this book is not for me. Like, the pace of this book is not for me at all. I'm 400 pages in and it still feels like I have not gotten to the plot. And this book is 600 pages long. I thought it was originally 500. It's 600 pages long. And at this point, I do feel like it would be a waste not to read it because I'm already so far into the book. But I do think I'm going to take this as a moment to start being more gracious with myself in the future of learning to DNF books, to officially just put it down if I'm not into it. So, but however, I do want to finish this, so we're going to get into some reading. And maybe things might completely turn around and I might really end up enjoying this book. But we'll just have to see. That's how I'm feeling right now. I want to finish this book and then we'll see where my thoughts are afterwards. Okay, so alas, today has come that I never honestly thought would. I finished this book. It definitely is an interesting thing to look back and think of like how excited I was to read this book, and I've been wanting to read it since the past year because it came out like last year, and it literally took me like a month to read this book. I fell so down bad. I can't remember a time where it's like taking me this long to read a book. The last book that took me this long to read was like in December, and it was a Christmas read and it was really cringy. This was not the case at all. I feel like this is one of these books that you have to sit back, and most books for me are, but this is one of those books that is very lengthy and it kind of feels honestly kind of slow. This book is 600 pages long, and I remember being like 300 to 400 pages in, and we still have not gotten to like the plot, like the story, like the juice of the book. And it was just a thing that just keeps building and building on, and it's one of those books that you definitely have to sit back and like really just let it like lather and build up, because it's definitely like a story that you definitely have to, I guess, like settle into in order to like truly like be in the book, if that makes, in order to like truly like be invested and like committed into like reading the book, if that makes any sense. And so, however, I do feel now that I've read it was very beautiful, and I literally said it's going to be very funny that like if I finish reading this book and I'm like, huh, I loved it. I don't know what I'd say over the book overall, but I do know that I loved the ending. I do know, I think once again, like as Emily Henry does, she always does amazing with her male like love interest, the male like love interest. They're always so dreamy, and Hayden was exactly that. There was a lot of, this story is one that takes you back and back and back and back. The story is not initially about Hayden and Alice, and so I think that's a lot of what people would go into this book thinking that it's a romance book, and I think it's definitely 100% not. I think this is the first Emily Henry book that I've read that didn't feel like didn't feel like a romance book. And if I'm being honest, I think that might be why so many people have had so many mixed reviews about this book, is that what I'm realizing is this is not a romance book at all. This book is about the story of Margaret's life. It's the story of her, like her upcoming, it's the story of her past and everything that brought her to where she is now, but it covers every single thing, like the little things to like the big things. And I think definitely if you're coming into this book looking for something like romantic, there's romance in it, but it's simply not about that. I feel like there's very like minor moments where it was actually about the journalist in the book, Alice and Hayden. But yeah, the book was more so about Margaret, and she sends both of them on kind of like this wild goose hunt of being both of you are going to be in like the interviewing process basically, and we're just going to do a run through of you working from you for a month and collecting like information and whatnot, and then at the end of the month we'll see who gets the job. And immediately I was just like, oh, so we're gonna have to lock in. And I know the characters also felt the same because they were like, what? But anyways, this book is definitely one of those books that I wish I would have just sat back and like soaked in it more, because it's one of those books that like the mark of like you'll never be able to read it again for the first time. And I wouldn't say that this is one of my favorite Emily Henry books, and I don't even know if I'd say that I enjoyed this book, but I really loved how it came out, and I think I do really honestly love the storyline of the book, and it not just be like a highlighting of romance, but like of someone's story, someone's life story. I think that was very beautiful, and I think the name for it is very fitting. Like, now that it's like literally called Great Big Beautiful Life, it's not like life romance or whatnot, it's someone's actual entire life story, and it came out actually really beautiful. So my next read, I have, and these are library books by the way, so I'm kind of pushing it to return these, and I have Mate by Ali Hazelwood. From what I've heard, this is a werewolf kind of love story, vampires and what, werewolves, I think. Oh, it kind of matches my outfit. Girl, I couldn't tell you much of anything. I don't even know. I'm honestly very hesitant to read this, but I have had several people literally recommend me reading this. I've read a few of Ali Hazelwood's books. I really love them. Yes, they're cringy, but I love when a female main character is a little cringy. It gives like a little sparkle, a little touch to like that uniqueness of their characters. So I know a lot of people hate it, but I personally love it. But I am very nervous about reading this because I have not read anything much in the fantasy world, and I've never read anything with like literal werewolves, so, or vampires. So I don't know if this is gonna give Twilight vibes. I love Twilight. I know a lot of people think it's horrible, but that's what makes it good. And I want to give myself a moment to see if I can get into this book. I don't want to just like cast it off just because it's something I'm not used to reading. Maybe I might come out of this really liking it. So we will see. Since we're here and we're talking about books, I thought I'd do like a little book haul, unhaul moment of what I got for Easter. This is also the books that I did pick out whenever we went to the city, and we went to that cozy little bookstore, which I love going there anytime I'm in the city because it's like a small business bookstore. And I don't buy books often. I usually just go to the library, but whenever I do buy books, I want to shop like small business, like locally. That is so cool because they had so many good books, and then also you could support small businesses, and that is so cool to me. So the books that I did get, which I went into that store being like I wanted to buy a book, and my mom ended up buying the books that I wanted, and she was like, I'm gonna put it in your Easter basket. So the books that I did get, I'm very excited about. I feel like these are also some books, I feel like I've talked about this a few times, kind of my vision for my reading this year is I really want to dive into expanding my reading genre. I'm definitely a heavily romance girly, and there are so many like possibilities and so many different like ways to go within books, and so I want to experience them all, or at least try to. So the books that I did get, the first one is, it is a romance book. It is The Baby Dragon Bookshop, but technically I've never read anything with this kind of like genre. It is about Miss Emmy, and she has a dragon fueled business, and she meets Luke, and they're kind of like enemies that they have to compete for cash by working together in order to determine who wins the funding. And so I know that the romance and like the tension of this and the build up is going to be so stinking good, so I am very excited to read this one. And then I have one that like I said, this isn't particularly like a genre that I have reached for, but I'm very excited to read it. I have The Midnight Library. I've heard very good things about this, and I think this would be a perfect book to read for the being in your 20s, the like uncertainty, the feeling lost in your 20s. Book is about Nora, where she enters the Midnight Library, but this library isn't just like any library. Each book that she picks up, it holds like a different alternate like outcome of how her life would look like. And I think this is going to be such a sweet thing to read in this current season of my life, of constantly feeling like what would have happened if I did this or did that. Bittersweet thing to realize that that's not just something that like you only feel like as a whole, but like other people also feel that way too. So I'm like really excited to read this. I honestly want to read these now, but I'm gonna start off with my library book because I do have to bring this back. I don't want them to think I just stole it because it's been a month now. But anyways, I am going to get into this book, and I feel like what this book taught me is if something is genuinely just not my vibe, I am going to put it down. I feel like going into this book, there were so many times where I simply did not have any desire to read because I just really wasn't enjoying the book, and I kept pushing myself to read it. And so it made it to where I didn't want to read at all. And so going into this book and going into any books in the future, I'm going to give myself a bit more grace. And if I'm just not feeling it, I'm going to put it down, because the outcome of forcing myself to read a book that I'm not enjoying is I end up in a really bad book slump. So we're not going to be doing that any longer. I'm going to give this a go, see how I feel about it, and if it's just not my thing, then okay.
A few moments later.
We are having enrichment time. Oh? We're having enrichment time in our enclosure, aka touching grass. And my matcha, that is a very interesting color. Don't knock on it, because I wasn't the one who made this. This was pre-made, so if I was the one who made it, then it'd be something, but it's not my fault. It looks weird. I believe we're up for a reading update. It is now Sunday, May 26th. And I feel quite embarrassed as to like the time length of how long like I've been filming this diaries, and I feel like I've made such little like progress with reading, and how just like how deep I've been in my like reading slump to where I haven't been reading like hardly anything at all. But I'm learning there's going to be times where I'm like reading more than others, and this time it's not that. So my reading update being it's not going to be the best one, but it is okay, being I am just firmly like decided to DNF this book. And I feel bad because I've heard so many people just speak of how like good this book is and how they wish they could reread it for the first time. But I feel in like right now I'm definitely, from the last book that I read was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. That book took me like about a month to read, and it severely put me in a book slump, in a spot as to where I didn't want to read anything because I didn't want to finish the book, because it was just something that I just wasn't into, and I kept forcing myself to be into it. And so now I do feel like it's harder to get into this book because of that length of how long it took me to read that book, and I wasn't into it, if that makes any sense. And so I do feel for now, I'm going to DNF this book because I'm just not feeling like I'm into it. I do feel like if I give it a chance and like keep reading, it will get good. But I also feel like I have no shame in like DNFing this book and then picking it up later. Also, this is a library book and I've had it for like a month now, so it needs to go back to its home. But I'm very excited to get into some more reads. I think I just need to go back to my roots for now, as much as I want to further my genre in readings. Need to learn that there's nothing wrong with just something just not being your cup of tea, or just simply saying this isn't something that I'm interested in reading right now. I think what I've learned about myself is I am definitely a mood reader. Like, I have to be in a certain mood to read a certain book. And if I'm being honest, I'm not in the mood to read a were and vampire book right now. So maybe I will pick this up like in the fall some other time, but I am going to DNF this book, and it's not going to be like such a sad thing because I, number one, didn't really get into the book that much, so I was only like about a little over 100 pages in, so I can't say as much as, oh, I didn't like it or whatnot. It just simply wasn't for me right now, but that doesn't mean that it won't ever be for me. I may pick this back up sometime in the future, but it is time for me to move on and get into like some other reads so I don't put myself in any further of a reading slump. But anyways, with that being said, I kind of feel like I got absolutely nowhere in this reading diaries and reading vlog. This vlog was supposed to be a diary of hobbies, but it kind of turned out into a getting my spark back in reading. So this episode of Diaries of Hobbies is me getting my spark back in reading. Expect much more reading vlogs in the future because the spark is, we're still trying to get her back after a book that really wasn't my thing and now a book that I have DNF'd. It's time to find some good reads that kind of are appropriate for the mood that I'm in, if that makes any sense. I'm gonna be ending this vlog here, and I thank you for hanging, even though I feel like I read absolutely nothing and made no progress in reading. I feel like this is a very realistic vlog of sorts, realistic reading vlog of sorts, and instead of feeling bad or down about it, I challenge myself to simply do better and read more. So I can't wait to do that. If you stick around for this long, I thank you, and I will see you in the next one.